Well, good morning, everybody. It's Dave Isaacs here at the Guitar Studio on Music Row here in Nashville, Tennessee. And this video is addressed to those of you who are not in Nashville, not able to come to Nashville, or maybe you live here and you're just not able to get out of your house or get away from work or for whatever reason. Because I wanted to talk to you about remote lessons over Skype. And this is something that I've been doing more and more of over the last few years. And it's really cool because it's given me the opportunity to work with people all over the world. I've had students on 5 continents now, which is really pretty cool, as long as you can manage the time zones, which can be a little bit challenging sometimes, especially if you're dealing with that international date line on the other side of the world. But you might be wondering, aside from obviously the remote aspect, what the positives might be about Skype lessons, because you know you're not in the room with me, with the instructor. But there's a couple of things that I think are really good about it. The only thing that we can't do easily is play exactly together, and this is still a challenge for any kind of remote platform, and the technology is continuing to improve. But for the most part, as long as you've got a good internet connection, Skype will give us a little bit of a lag, and there are other platforms that I have used in the past. Sometimes even the Facebook video chat can work for us. Sometimes FaceTime, if you're using Apple products, can be good. Skype is really the preferred method. It's the easiest to use. There's a couple of things that I really like about it. Number one, almost everybody has it and has access to it. Number two, it works pretty much on every platform, so it's not hard to get yourself on it. Number three, we have the ability to exchange messages immediately through Skype, and it's going to keep track of everything we do. So you will actually have a log of not only when we've had each lesson, but whatever we covered, any files that I might have shared with you will be there in the chat window, so you have access to everything. As I said, the only thing we can't really do easily over Skype is to play together, although if I want to have you play along with me, I can play and you just play along with what you hear. What I hear coming back will not be the same, but in terms of practicing a particular skill, that is something that we can do. Now, I'm of course still able to watch what you're doing, listen to what you're doing, guide, critique, and do all the things that I would do if I were there in the room with you. Another advantage is that you're in your home practice space or workspace, and so everything that you might be using as part of your practicing, as part of your working on music is right there. You don't have to worry about bringing it with you. And you're also in your comfortable space, the place that has your work energy, your musical energy, your practice energy. Now, of course, my own space here in Nashville is that for me, and I really strive to make that a comfortable musical vibe for everybody who comes into the room. But there's a lot to be said for having a dedicated space where you work on music, and so to have your lessons in that space, in your own home, in your own place, really has a lot of value to it. So, as I said, we can really use every resource that you would have available to you if you were here in the room with me, plus the fact, like I said, that everything that you ordinarily use is right there. If you want to try a different guitar, you can try a different guitar. You don't have to worry about what you brought with you. Now, the other thing that I'll do with remote sessions with Skype, and I do this with my live students as well, but it's particularly helpful long distance, is, as I said, we can share files over Skype, but I will also often set up a dedicated Dropbox folder that you can access. So any materials that we use, so this might include tab or sheet music, this might include audio, including practice tracks and things like that. Sometimes I'll create even just a drum beat to play to, or even a full practice track with all the backing instruments, so you have something to work with to practice to in your practice sessions in between the lessons. And this can also include video. I may take video, something that I'm illustrating, put that in the Dropbox and send it to you. And so you really will have a whole library of material, and because we're working remotely, working online, you have easy access to anything at any time that you have an internet connection. So it's actually very helpful. Like I said, this is something that I do with live students as well, but it's really useful if you are in another city, another state, another country, and you want to be able to resource all the materials right at once. You don't even have to wait for me to go looking for it, because you have a dedicated folder for yourself. So it's really something that you ought to consider if you are having difficulty finding a teacher that's really a good fit for you in your hometown, and I hear that from a lot of people that it can really be a challenge. Of course, there are good teachers all over, but I believe in what I do. The people that I work with believe in what I do. And particularly if you are in the area that I work with the most, which is someone who has been playing for a period of time, whether it's a few weeks or a few months or a number of years, and has a basic vocabulary but doesn't quite know how to go past that. I would say that most people who play guitar fall into somewhere into that vast middle between a complete beginner and a really accomplished player. That's what most people do, but the biggest challenge, that's where most people fall. That's where most people fall, but the biggest challenge is knowing how to get past that. And in my experience, a lot of teachers don't really have an organized plan to help that happen. Now, when I say that, my organized plan is not the same for everybody because it depends on your specific interests, your specific needs, and of course your specific skill level. But with that said, I find over and over again that most people really have the same challenges, the same issues, and are helped by the same approaches. So because I work with so many people on that very specific thing of bringing them from a fundamental level where there's not a lot of competence to a competent and confident level where you can do the things that you want to do and see the potential for growth and also see how you can move forward with that growth. That's something that I think is really what everybody needs. It's just a question of where we begin on that continuum and where it takes you. And of course, the other thing that's important to me as a teacher is to give you the skills to continue to work on your own. So you're not fully dependent on me when you want to learn something new. You're learning how to learn, which is really crucial. Now, one other thing that I want to throw out to this, I do work since I live here in Nashville and I'm a songwriter and performer myself, I work with a lot of songwriters and performers. And one of the things that we will often do in lessons with songwriters is take a look at their songs, look at musically how it's put together, talk about the musical choices you've made, and talk about what other options might be if you feel like you need them. If you're stuck on a song, or if you feel like it's not interesting enough, if you feel like you're repeating yourself in your writing. This isn't really a co-writing arrangement, it's an arranging process because what I do is ask you questions about how you envision the song, start to give you some possibilities and some options based on what you're telling me, and together we work out what that song really should be like based on the way you're hearing it in your head. And that's a very, very valuable thing for a songwriter, whether you're a performer or someone who is writing for the market and is going to be sending your songs in to be demoed at professional recording studios by professional musicians. You want to be able to communicate your ideas to them in the best possible way, and this is something that I can help with and that I do a lot of. I also really enjoy that work. It's very gratifying. So, to sum all this up, no matter where you are in the world, we can work together, primarily via Skype, as I said, and you have the advantages of being in your home with your own instruments, your own practice space, all your own resources, and access to everything that we might be doing in the lessons. And it's also very easy to schedule because we don't necessarily have to work around my office hours. I do Skype from home as well, and when I'm working with international clients, that's something that I do have to consider because, of course, the times become very different. So it's something that you really ought to consider if you are looking for a way to move forward and the resources you're finding at home, and that includes YouTube and some of the stuff online, your tab sites and things like that, that are useful resources but are not really enough to move you forward unless you really find the right people. I'd like to believe that I can be the right person for you. Lots of people already have demonstrated to me over the last 30 years that they agree. So I would like to help you move forward. So go ahead and get in touch with me. Best way to reach me is by email, dave@daveisaacs.com. And you can also, while you're there, follow my blog, The Perpetual Beginner, which you can access through the website. And while you're at that, find my YouTube channel too. There's lots of videos on there that you might find helpful. It's youtube.com/Nashville Guitar Guru. You can connect with me on Facebook as well. My Facebook page is Dave Isaacs Guitar Studio. So thanks for watching. I hope that you've gotten some insight into what we can do working remotely. And if that sounds appealing to you, then please do get in touch. I'm Dave Isaacs. Thanks for watching.